The Dead Sea Scrolls are the most important archaeological discovery of the 20th century. I mean, this of machine learning and the use of artificial intelligence in order to identify the different scribes that wrote the Dead Sea Scrolls.
2,000 years ago, someone carefully placed fragile scrolls into clay jars and hid them inside dark caves near the Dead Sea. They did not leave a name. They did not leave a date. They simply sealed the past and walked away. For nearly 2,000 years, those scrolls slept in silence. Then, in the modern world, humans found them. Scholars studied them. Scientists measured them. Historians argued over them. Yet one question refused to be answered clearly, no matter how smart the experts were. How old are the Dead Sea Scrolls really? Now, something unexpected has happened. A form of intelligence that does not grow old, does not forget, and does not guess, has examined the ancient handwriting. And what it found is forcing history itself to hold its breath. Before we continue, please remember to subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us uncover the hidden past and bring history's greatest mysteries to light.
Why is the age of the Dead Sea Scrolls so important?
Well, for one thing, it's important to prove that they are 2,000 years old at least in order to connect them to the time frame of the Second Temple period, to the time frame of Jesus, of John the Baptist.
In 1947, a shepherd boy was searching for a lost goat near the cliffs of the Judean desert. Out of boredom, he threw a stone into a cave. Instead of silence, he heard the sound of breaking pottery. That sound would echo through history. Inside the cave were clay jars. Inside the jars were scrolls written in ancient ink, on fragile parchment. Over time, more caves were discovered, 11 in total, filled with thousands of fragments belonging to hundreds of scrolls. These texts included some of the oldest known copies of books from the Hebrew Bible. They also included prayers, rules, commentaries, calendars, and mysterious writings that had never been seen before. The Dead Sea Scrolls suddenly became one of the most important archaeological discoveries of all time. But almost immediately, scholars faced a serious problem. Most ancient writings tell you when they were written. They mention kings, battles, temples, or great events. The Dead Sea Scrolls do almost none of that. They speak about faith, law, prophecy, and community, but they are silent about dates. This silence created a puzzle. To understand the scrolls, scholars needed to know when they were written. Timing changes everything. It affects how we understand the Bible, early Judaism, and the religious world that existed before Christianity. At first, scholars relied on handwriting. They studied letter shapes, line spacing, and writing styles. This method, called paleography, compares how writing changes over generations, much like how handwriting today looks different from that of our grandparents. Later, scientists used carbon-14 dating, which measures how old the parchment itself is. This method was helpful, but it could not always tell when the ink was placed on the page. The dates often came in wide ranges, leaving room for debate. Even after decades of research, uncertainty remained. Were the scrolls written early, when biblical texts were still forming? Or were they written later, reflecting ideas already shaped and settled? This question matters deeply. It shapes how we understand scripture, belief, and tradition. And for years, scholars could only answer with careful guesses. Then came a bold idea. What if a machine could see what humans cannot? An international team of researchers decided to try something never done before. They created an artificial intelligence model and named it Enoch, after the ancient figure associated with hidden wisdom. Enoch was not taught theology. It was not taught belief. It was taught shape, form, and pattern. Enoch looks at handwriting the way a microscope looks at cells. It examines curves, angles, stroke thickness, spacing, and rhythm. Where the human eye sees a letter, Enoch sees thousands of tiny details. To train Enoch, researchers used scrolls that had already been carbon dated. They showed the AI thousands of high-resolution images and explained which features mattered. Slowly, Enoch learned how Hebrew handwriting changed over centuries. It learned to see time inside ink. The training was careful and slow. Researchers used scrolls from multiple sites across the Judean desert, not just Qumran. This gave Enoch a broader understanding of writing styles across regions and generations. Once trained, Enoch created a timeline of letter evolution. It could now look at a scroll it had never seen before and estimate when it was most likely written. Then the real test began. More than 130 scrolls were placed before the machine. When Enoch finished its analysis, the results surprised nearly everyone. Again and again, the dates came back earlier than expected. Scrolls long believed to belong to the Qumran community were dated to times before that community even settled at the site. This meant the scrolls were not written there. They were brought there. This changed the story. It suggested that the ideas found in the Dead Sea Scrolls were already spreading long before they were hidden in caves. The community at Qumran was not inventing these traditions. They were preserving them. History had just become deeper. Even more startling were the results for biblical texts. Enoch suggested that some copies of books like Samuel and Jeremiah were written earlier than previously believed. This pushes the existence of written scripture further back in time. This matters because it suggests that biblical texts were already being carefully copied, shared, and preserved earlier than many scholars assumed. It paints a picture of an ancient world where sacred writings were not loose or unstable, but already respected and guarded. As news spread, scholars reacted in different ways. Some said the results confirmed what great paleographers had already suspected decades ago. Others welcomed the AI's ability to spot patterns no human could detect. But some raised concerns. One particular case involved a scroll containing parts of the Book of Daniel. These chapters describe historical events that happened in 167 BCE. Enoch suggested a date that may be earlier than those events. Critics argued this was impossible. Supporters responded that handwriting and history must be studied together, not separately. This disagreement revealed something important. Enoch is not meant to replace scholars. It is meant to challenge them. Artificial intelligence does not care about tradition. It does not protect old theories. It simply follows data. That makes it uncomfortable, but powerful. Even when Enoch's dates are debated, the method itself opens new doors. It forces scholars to explain why they believe what they believe. It pushes research forward instead of repeating old conclusions. For the first time, ancient scrolls are being studied by a mind that never gets tired and never overlooks tiny details. If this method continues to improve, scholars may need to rethink the entire timeline of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Not tomorrow, not recklessly, but carefully, together, across disciplines. The past is not changing, but our understanding of it might be. The Dead Sea Scrolls were hidden to protect them. Today, they are being revealed in ways their writers could never have imagined. Ink meets algorithms. Parchment meets machines. The ancient world meets the future. And history, once again, reminds us of something humbling. It always has more to say. If you want to continue exploring the greatest mysteries where faith, history, and discovery collide, don't forget to subscribe. The story of the past is far from finished.